sans dire à tout.
What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk about news, current events. You know, open it up as a forum for thought exercises, as well as our movie review. I know we were, absent from last week's stream, but as is the custom on this show, it's all Rob's fault. That's right.
It's always my
It's
fault.
Always Rob's fault. But yeah, we're back. So we'll be closing out our Keanu Reeves month with a double feature. Covering what would have been last week's review. Tonight. Tonight we'll be reviewing both A Walk in the Clouds from 1995 and Street Kings from 2008.
All right, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been kind of nice going through some of these lesser known Keanu Reeves films. Street Kings maybe much more known, but A Walk in the Clouds, that was a complete blank spot on my. I had no idea he was in this.
Yeah, it was like completely in your blind spot.
Romantic movie. Yeah, and now it might be in the rotation. I don't know, man. I really like it a lot.
Spoiler alert. Rob likes it a lot.
But yeah, we got some good stuff to talk about today. I was absent because of work last week. Things were just popping off last week, and it's still just as chaotic. But I wasn't gonna miss 2 weeks in a row, so I took my power nap, got my drinks lined up, and I'm ready to roll.
And I hope you guys are ready too. Anything interesting happened to you over the weekend, Rob?
Not well. I get from the last time that we talked. I went to go see Alien Romulus, the new Alien film, and it is very good. But here's the thing about that: if you've never seen an Alien film and this is maybe your first one, you're gonna absolutely love it. If you are a fan of the Alien franchise, like you, it's hitting all the highlights from all of the films. It takes all the best parts and puts them in this one. Not in a, I wouldn't say it's like kind of like,
right,
hey,
so the member berries.
You like it? It's not doing it in that way. Yeah, it's not doing it quite in that way, but I think some people kind of consider it as maybe they're being pandered to. I didn't really feel like that was the vibe that they were going with. I found it enjoyable. It looks great. There's certain things where I'm like, I was like, okay, they're doing something a little bit different, or trying something, but it's hidden all the old highlights. So if that doesn't bother you so much, go watch it. The acting's incredible. The guys that they got are really good. The action and the gore are a lot of fun. Yeah, it's awesome. I think Betty Alvarez who directed it, did a pretty damn good job. Definitely has a lot of Ridley Scott in there because he talked with Ridley Scott a lot going into this film, and it certainly shows. But yeah, that was fun. Joyce was scared out of her mind, so that was a hell of a lot of fun. And then like Cinemigos, we kind of took our season 1 break. We did Dead Presidents, which is another film I had not seen before, which was very good. I think it was the second outing of the Hughes brothers, who did Menace to Society. And then we're gonna jump in. We got some great films coming up for season 2. One of which, for our episode 50 is going to be pretty spectacular, I think, with um, a great Daniel Day-Lewis film.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to be doing well, it was announced on Dead Presidents what we're going to be doing, but it said There Will Be Blood, which is another film I had not seen. So looking forward to getting into that. And I actually found out a lot about that film. I was like, holy, there's so many connections
Hmm.
to other films that, yeah, it's just kind of funny how it all kind of worked out. So yeah, that'll be fun to dive into season 2. We got a lot of great films on the docket. Obviously, I'm bringing the old stuff, the old classics. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Other than that, it's been I have mainly just been working a lot. I don't know, man. Like we keep like getting people, and then those people leave, or something happens, and we're always seem to be strapped for people, and just a lot of work, and it's a drain.
It's gotta suck.
Yeah, I had to power nap before I started today because I'm wiped already. Thank God I don't have to work Thursday, so I'll be able to play some games tomorrow, watch some movies. I'm not sure, just be able to rest. And I got like I said, I got that place to myself when I get home
Nice.
with the dog.
Very nice.
But yeah, that's me. That's what I've been doing.
Very good. Yeah, as for me, same old. Just volunteering, homeless outreach. Um, went to work. I didn't get any sales, but the shop made some sales, so that's always a good thing. Um, yeah, it's always a
But
good thing.
it's always good. Yeah.
And then just went out and hung out with some friends for the evening. We went to this Chinese restaurant in Alhambra.
Mhm.
It didn't receive a star, but it was Michelin rated. But yeah,
Oh, that's interesting. So it doesn't have a
it's in the
star,
guide.
but it's in the Michelin Guide.
Yeah,
Oh
so there's something.
wow. Okay, so
Yeah,
they're doing something good.
they were awarded. They were awarded it like 2 years ago, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah,
Uh
it's
huh.
pretty decent. Their tea.
Did it
Yeah,
earn
they
that
really earned
Michelin
that
rating?
Michelin rating. Uh, I would recommend the tea duck there. It's kind of like a Peking duck, but I think they steam it with with tea
Uh huh.
leaves. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So it may if it would that would maybe make it a little bit
Yeah. It
less
was like the
greasy, I
skin
would
was
think, right?
definitely crisp, like on the crispier side. Uh,
That's
yeah, but
interesting. Okay.
let me try and remember.
Yeah, I didn't go to a Michelin rated Chinese restaurant, but there's one that we have discovered through one of my wife's clients that right on Ventura Boulevard that is like
Hmm.
I think it's like 5 minutes from our house, and oh my gosh, it's really good there. They're also like it's just a uh I don't think they like use like a lot of MSG or whatever. It just feels I don't feel weird after
Mm.
eating there.
Oh yeah, it's Jiangnan Spring.
And they have this amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll
Jiangnan
have to check
Spring,
that out. I don't make the
Alhambra.
trip to Yeah, I don't
Right.
make the trip to Alhambra very
Yeah,
often,
it's a
but
little bit out of the way.
I might
But
have to
yeah,
do
it
that.
was fun nights, especially because we were hanging out with one of our friends who doesn't always have uh, a free weekend. Um, So
Okay.
it was a little, it was extra, it was a bit extra special. And after dinner, we actually went to Old Town Pasadena, and we went to this pizza place called. I mean, I know we just had Chinese food, but the stereotype is true. You eat Chinese food and you're hungry again an hour later. But
Yeah.
but we were walking down, we were walking in Old Town Pasadena on what's that main street, Colorado, and there's this
Yeah. Yeah.
New York style pizza joint called Prince's, and
Oh, I've
yeah,
heard of that.
and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
funny because my friend, she didn't intend for us to go and have pizza, but her reaction was so big that it got the rest of us curious. And it's like, oh, really? It's that good? And, she was like saying, oh yeah, it's so good. And it's like, oh, then let's get a slice, And then she's like, oh no, let's get it next time. It's like, but we're here now, It's just like,
Exactly.
and so yeah, we waited, we waited a little bit, and then we got a few slices, to share amongst ourselves, and yeah, I can attest, it was very yummy.
It's not like one of those places that they ship in water
Or
from New York
I don't know
to make
that
their
far, but
dough.
maybe they might use like a reverse osmosis thing for their water to make it the same like pH or alkali as the water in New York. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because I know like they do stuff like that. Like some of those New York
Hmm.
style pizza places that are out here because they're I don't know what it is, but there is a difference.
You can taste it.
You can
Hmm.
yeah, it just tastes different. Yeah, you can
Yeah, I
definitely
forget what
taste
it
it.
was called.
I'm sorry, New York pizza is the best pizza. It's no knock on Chicago or Detroit or whatever, but it's New York
And
pizza all the way.
yeah, they use. Yeah,
Although I
yeah.
do like Gino's East, yeah, that place is good too.
Right.
It's
Yeah, and
expensive,
they
but it's
use
good.
those pepperonis that like turn into like little cups that that hold all like the oil. So that's
Oh
good. And then I don't remember what
yes,
the name of the pizza
yes.
was, but it comes with like hot honey, and yeah, and it had like
Oh, interesting.
pepperoni and
Okay.
hot honey, and so you had like that sweet, spicy, savory combination. It's just absolutely, absolutely delicious.
Oh damn, dude. Okay, I might have to. We might have to. You and I might have to swing down over there
Yeah,
and grab a slice
yeah. Just
ourselves.
talking about it just kind of like makes me want to go again.
I know. Damn, now I want
Yeah.
pizza right now, dude. What the?
What can I say? I'm a trendsetter. All right.
You are.
Yeah. Per custom around here, when we miss a week, we do a movie review sandwich. So yeah, let's get into it, and let's start off with the movie that we would have reviewed last week, which would have been A Walk in the Clouds. Uh, yeah.
All
Let
right,
me hit
let's do it.
everyone with the synopsis and get going. My computer's acting a little funny, but it'll be all right. All right. All right. A Walk in the Clouds. When soldier Paul Sutton is on his way home after World War II, he realizes that he barely knows his young wife Betty. With the couple's relationship strained and Paul haunted by memories of the war, he is happy to have a diversion in the form of a beautiful traveler, Victoria Aragon. Circumstances force Paul to pose as Victoria's new husband for her close-knit Mexican-American family, a situation that brings tension and unexpected results. Released in August 11th. Oh, so what is it? 30, almost 30 or 29 years. In 1995, directed by Alfonso
Yeah,
Ara. Yeah, Aro.
Aro.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, adapted from Four Steps in the Clouds. Yeah, this movie came at a time when there was a lot of like these kind of almost like period romantic, romance movies coming out. Um,
Probably why like this kind of
yeah,
gets lost in the shuffle then because
yeah, because
yeah, the 90s were
mhm,
an interesting time for film just because I think there was a lot of good stuff that was being made, but for whatever reason, even though they have like a big cast or they're a good movie, it just there was so
right. I
much
mean,
coming
just
out that it was
yeah,
easy
to miss.
to like forget
Yeah,
about some of these great
yeah.
films,
I
and
mean,
this is one of those. I think this is a great film.
just in that year. I mean, the juggernaut that is the Bridges of Madison County came out as well. And then like a year prior
Yeah,
was Legend. Yeah, that was with
that was
Eastwood.
the with
Then the
Eastwood,
year, and
right?
then the year prior, or I don't know, like calendar year or like actual year. Uh, but Legends of the Fall came out, with Brad Pitt and Anthony Hopkins. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you could be forgiven for missing this one.
And this is also a kind of a unusual vehicle for Keanu Reeves too, but I think he this is one of the roles I think he
Mm-hmm.
pulls off really well. The Yeah, and also I think the other thing too with it being it was an American Mexican co-production. The director, his it seems like looking at his filmography, it looks like he's done a lot of adaptations or like remakes of certain. I think he did the remake of the Magnificent Ambersons,
Mm-hmm.
the Orson Welles movie. The and he's done like stuff in Mexico too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, the girl that the woman that he ends up falling in love with. Uh, if
Mm-hmm.
you've seen The Machinist, that's the coffee shop girl that Christian Bale's character
Mm-hmm.
becomes infatuated with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's her, and she's well, man, when that movie came out like 10 years
Right.
after this, she still looks really good. So she's very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah
Yeah,
Messing
his wife.
plays kind of his God,
Yeah.
she's terrible. Shit. But this is what honestly though, that story has played out so many times when it comes to
Right.
military guys where they get
Deployment.
married
Yeah.
right before they go off on deployment somewhere, for whatever benefits
Mm-hmm.
or they get extra money and all that, and it's more of like a marriage of
Or
um,
convenience.
passion or convenience, and then those people proceed to cheat on each other. It's like
Right.
it's like what's the point? And it feels like this is not that Keanu's character is cheating on her, but
Right.
clearly she's doing that with him. But it's just like that story has been told. It's so true to life
Mm-hmm.
that would happen. So I mean, and she plays it to a T. Because
Right.
she's
Yeah. It's just
really
like
fucking
God
horrible.
damn, you're an awful human being.
Yeah, and his career path also is he's
Right.
a candy
Well, I mean,
salesman
yeah, like
or a
he had
chocolate
that job
salesman.
before the war. Because in the dialogue it says like, or Deborah Messing's character, tells him like, oh yeah, I talked to, you know, whoever, Mr. Sweeney or whatever, and he held your job just like I said. But then it goes to like how that she doesn't even give a fuck about him because because he'd been writing her letters, all throughout his time in war, and he would like and he would
Never,
just pour himself out into these letters, letting her know like how he's feeling and what he wants to do after when he comes home, and and like in the letters he says like I don't think I want my old job back. But she's just so focused on like what her needs and her wants. It's just like, oh yeah, like yeah, you could the boss said that you could have your old job back. And then I think, and he,
Jesus.
was a war hero, awarded medals and such, and so it's like, yeah, it's like, and the boss wants you to, wear a uniform when you sell candies.
Yeah. It's like what it's that was heartbreaking to see. It's like,
Right,
oh yeah,
yeah,
this
and
isn't
it's
gonna last. It's like where and she had this
right.
trunk full of letters that
I
she
know, and like,
never
she's
read,
like, yeah, and she's like,
and
and
she
she
never wrote
tries
him.
to make, spin it by saying like, oh, at least like, I kept them, and I knew like as long as I kept getting the letters, I knew you're okay. And just like, great, but I was like pouring my heart and soul into these letters, letting you know what I was going through, and what my hopes and dreams were, and like you were the one of the reasons why I like kept fighting and kept surviving.
Yeah, the other thing too with that is because they're just married and they barely know each other, this is a great opportunity. Even though I'm away, I'm telling you about myself, what I'm going through,
Hmm.
how I think,
Right.
how I feel. And you would think that if she gave a damn, she would do the same thing. Clearly she didn't. And um so essentially he leaves to like was he going out to like
Yeah, yeah,
sell
yeah,
candy like somewhere?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
was
I mean,
he
because
he's a
back in the
traveling
day, that's
salesman?
that's how they did things. Be traveling
And
salesman.
yeah, yeah. So he was on his way to go sell some chocolate, wearing his uniform
Hmm.
like his boss wanted him to. And this is where we run into
Yeah. The
the
mhm.
our young Miss Aragon, who proceeds
Mhm.
to throw up on him.
Because
Yeah,
she's
because
knocked up.
she's pregnant. She's knocked up. She had an affair with her
Hmm.
college professor, who,
Hmm.
once she got pregnant, abandoned her. Sounds pretty typical. Got those liberal San Francisco
Right. Yeah, like what
college
was it? Like
professors,
the
right?
letter
Am
that
I
he
right?
sent her was like, "Oh, I'm a free spirit, and like, I'm not ready for a family." Even though even though he's older than her, and you think like him. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess age doesn't get necessarily guarantee maturity, but he has to be mature up, to some degree to be able to, be a professor, and
right.
he pays his taxes, and and whatever, and dresses himself in the morning, so he has to have some level of what is it, competency or maturity to even fulfill those basic things.
Right. But they run into each other
Mhm.
on the train. I
He
think,
meets
oh
her in the
yeah,
train.
because they
She
meet each
vomits
other on
on
the
him.
train.
He goes to clean it
She,
up, clean up himself up, changes into his suit, traveling suit. Um, and then I guess he kicked off the train because in the confusion,
he grabs her
she
ticket.
accidentally, they drop both their tickets. She grabs both of them and gives him hers, and keeps his, which his actually took him all the way up to his destination, which I believe is Sacramento. But yeah, but since he had her
Yeah,
ticket, he got kicked off the train and had to take a bus. And that's when you get the second meet cute, um, and she realizes what she had done. And on the bus they have a chance for him to show off his chivalry, and stand and stand up for the young lady, because she starts getting harassed by some you know drunken knuckleheads. Yeah.
jerk off. Yeah, and he
Yeah.
gets kicked off the bus because he did that. And she gets off the bus with him, and they start to have this conversation that turns out like she tells him her story, and he says, "Well, why don't I pretend to be your husband so so your family
Not
doesn't think of
poor.
you as something
Right. Yeah.
less, so you don't
And
disappoint."
then, yeah, and then I'll
Yeah,
just, and then after I meet them, I'll just, I'll disappear into the night, and you could just say that I abandoned you, and you could still save face.
Yeah, and it's funny because that is the plan. And every time that he starts to, because her father clearly is like no, and that guy, the guy who plays her father is he's in the most what was it, the like Casino Royale and like some of the James Bond film,
The Craig
the
movies.
Daniel Craig James Bond films.
He plays
Yeah,
Mathis. Yeah, he plays Mathis.
mostly Casino Royale. Yeah, Mathis. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he plays Mathis in
Yeah,
Casino Royale. A great actor. So it was kind of interesting seeing an earlier movie of his, and
yeah,
he's furious. But the rest of the family seems to be
yeah.
intrigued or like happy for her,
Hmm.
especially her grandfather, who is like, it'll pass. Don't, like
Hmm.
he's more accepting of him, and every time he
Yeah,
tries to leave
it's
to
yeah,
to fulfill the
it's a
plan,
Godfather. It's a
he
Godfather
keeps
line. It's
getting
like
sucked
every
back
time I
in.
think I'm out, they pull me back in. And it's like,
Yeah, and he starts to just be to get involved with this family, and I think that he does fall in,
right.
but they fall in love with each other clearly. I mean, and when certain circumstances take place, it's they're, I think, both upset because there's something that like they don't know what it is, like why they can't quite say what their feelings are, and obviously he's a
Right.
loyal
Yeah, he's
guy.
an
He
honorable
is
guy. He's
married,
married, and
and he
he
does.
wants to live up to that
Yeah, so
commitment that he
he
made to
doesn't.
his actual wife.
Right. And he finally does end up going back, and it's a big deal.
Mhm.
There's a whole like fallout there with her and the family. But he's like, hey, I have he's gonna go back to his wife, who he finds is sleeping
Oh, we
around.
already know.
No,
Yeah,
so we already know that that's been happening. That
right.
was happening while he was in the war too. So he and she said, well, I got an annulment of our marriage. It's
I
like,
know. It's just like
not a problem.
everything's coming up
And he
Paul Sutton. In this movie.
Yeah, it's like everything's coming up Millhouse. And so he proceeds to go back and try to win back the girl. Oh god, that there was that
Hmm.
scene with him and the grandfather of like where he is singing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
has
yeah. They're
the
trying to sing
mariachi
the
band like
folk
singing
the
like
folk
the Mi
song. Yeah.
Amor. Oh my gosh, I was like, dude, just come to the fucking window. Like come on. It's like, oh, so like heart wrenching. I was like the guy, and like her parents are like commenting.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, I think he really loves her, and you had the grandfather's like, now when if she turns on that light, oh,
Uh-huh.
that
It's
means,
like it's
yeah,
on
it's
like
like that.
Donkey Kong.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love this family.
Yeah. Although it
It's
is
so
pretty
great.
funny that the father
But yeah,
is the way he is, even though the grandfather is the way he is, and maybe that's because he's an older man, and he has perspective.
so
But
I have a yeah, I have a feeling that the grandfather was like him when he was marrying his daughter, and but over time grew to accept him and realizing that now
well,
because
yeah, yeah. But I no, no,
they're
no. It's
winemakers,
the
they have a
grandfather
vineyard.
is the father of Victoria's father. Yeah, that's the case.
Is that the case? I thought he Oh, okay, never mind. But I would imagine that maybe that he was kind of the same person, but
Well,
now
I mean,
that
yeah,
the
that's what I
torch has
mean.
been
Like,
passed to
maybe because of age, he has like perspective now, and he's able to be more chill. Um, there's that meme I saw on Instagram Reels where it's like your dad, when he was, when you were growing up, and it's like, you know, Arlie Emery like just yelling at you, like you will learn by the numbers, da da da. And then it's like and then your dad, like as a
Yeah.
grandfather, and it's like Fred Rogers, and it's like that's okay.
I know, dude. Seriously, it's exactly like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any kids, but what is it? My cousin, like her daughter, I mean, she's young. She's like 5 or like less than 5, but like she views my father as like her grandfather, and so like, and then like the way he like interacts
Yeah.
with her is just like, where the hell was that when I was growing up?
Yeah. Yeah. All I knew
Yeah,
was
right.
rage and less rage.
It's like, what is this
That-
kindness you speak of? It's like, what is that? Um, but yeah, it could just be that the grandfather, with the perspective of age, is able to be more chill and mellow and accepting, and just like more like que sera or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Anthony
the
Quinn,
grandfather is
man.
great. He,
Anthony
to me,
Quinn,
he
man,
steals
he
the
does
show.
not disappoint. Anthony Quinn never phones in anything.
No, man, no, sir.
Yeah,
He's so good in
yeah. Even
this.
like the small little like almost like bit
And
part, but he's just like, oh, so great. It's just like I wish he was my grandpa.
yeah, and when Paul ends up making it back to the vineyard, and it's
Yeah, through a series.
I
Yeah,
forget
well,
how
it's
that
like
fire.
Victoria's father,
Yeah,
like
there's a
in a
whole.
drunken rage, like kind of tries to tackle Paul, and he throws a lantern at him, and then it misses Paul, and it lands in the vineyard and explodes, and it catches everything on fire.
Yeah, and that they
Mm-hmm.
desperately are trying to save the vineyard, and Paul remembers some of the he remembers like what the grandfather had been telling him, and he discovers that one of the plants is still good, and the root, like, is it, and he risks his life to save that plant, and he's like, hey, is uh check the roots, like they I don't think the burn went all the way through. I think it still lives. And that was kind of the symbol of, now that he is a
Mm-hmm.
member of this family, he
Mm-hmm.
is part of the vine of this vineyard, and they end up getting
Or at least
married, and
that's the implication,
now
because
he's a
yeah, it's
part of
like
it.
you see like the vineyard like completely devastated, everything's like on fire. Yeah, and then
He's
like
grafted
some
in.
time passes by, and the vineyard is restored through that that root that had survived, and from the ancestral plant that the forefathers of the Aragon family had brought over from like Spain or whatever. And so the implication is like, yeah, they got
Yeah.
married, they lived happily ever after, and they're like a family.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe that this family does live
Mm-hmm.
happily ever after. And it's just every once in a while you need a movie that's
Mm-hmm.
not like depressing or gonna make you
Mm-hmm.
question reality, or whatever it is. Like, sometimes you just need a feel good film, and that's what this movie does. It
Absolutely.
makes you feel good. I know my co-host on
Mm-hmm.
Cinemigos, John, would love this film. He loves these
Mm-hmm.
type of romance films. Um, and I might have to later down the line bring this to the show, because this is just an interesting film that
Yeah.
just makes you feel
Yeah.
good. I actually like Keanu Reeves in this role. It's very different for him. It's I don't know, man. I think maybe he should do a little bit more of some more romance stuff. Like, I think he could do good in that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love like the John Wicks of those
Mm-hmm.
movies. That, like, The Matrix is great. Speed is great. I mean, he actually since Bill and Ted, I don't think he's done. comedy. I don't really think he's done as an actual comedy
Yeah. Well, I mean,
film.
you probably haven't seen it, but I guess that's technically not true. Because I mean, he did do the Bill and Ted's sequel, which I didn't watch.
Oh, I know, but that's still the
Technically,
same
yes.
vehicle,
But okay,
technically. What I'm saying is like something
all right. Well, but
outside
he
of Bill and
did he
Ted.
does do a comedic sort of role in "You'll Always Be My Maybe." It was a Netflix original movie. What was it? It's Randall Park and Ali Wong. It was a rom com. Um, yeah, and he was in it. And
And he
yeah,
was in
he
it?
played a
Keanu?
comedic version, kind of comedic version of himself. No,
Okay.
no, it was a
Was that
movie.
a show though?
It was a movie.
It was a movie? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I might have to check that out. I don't know. Maybe it's not going to be any good,
yeah.
but
I
no,
mean, it's
I
not
would
the
love to
best.
see,
It's not the best, but
maybe
there was a chuckle here and there, and I think Keanu playing a comedic version of himself was actually kind of funny and refreshing for especially to see him in a slightly lighter lighter sort of fare.
yeah. But Keanu just seems like the type of guy of
Mm-hmm.
the celebrities that are out there, that's a guy I would like to meet because I think he seems like I think he's a smart guy, but I think he's a cool guy at the same time. And I know he loves movies, and I think he'd be one I'd like to meet at some point if I
Yeah,
ever
I
get
mean,
that
of the
opportunity.
kind of like big Hollywood names, I think he's the most grounded, and I think it has to do with like all the trauma, in his life. Um, because like you see
Yeah,
celebrities and you think like they're untouchable, and a lot of times, they do really a thorough job of concealing, their dirt. Like the addictions or the affairs or
right.
what have you. Um, but Keanu Reeves is like he's pretty open. Like I mean, about. I mean, maybe you don't. Some people might not know this, but like what his sister died of like cancer. His girlfriend who was having his baby died along with the baby because of complications. Um, he got into a motorcycle accident,
Jesus.
which could have nearly paralyzed him. And he now has like a scar like on his stomach because I think he like lost his spleen or something. Um, yeah. So
Jesus.
yeah. So I think Keanu is surprisingly grounded. Because he literally has trauma. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he doesn't hide it. He doesn't hide it away or make it seem like it doesn't affect him anymore. But I think I think his reputation of being this kind-hearted person comes from uh, those experiences. Because he can
Yeah.
empathize. Um, I mean, I think one of the greatest response he ever gave was when he was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And Stephen Colbert asked him, like, "Oh, what do you think happens when we die?" And Keanu Reeves like kind of pauses and he says, "The people we love will miss us." And it's like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a beautiful response. I mean, and you don't have to be and you can't get mad at him because he's like, oh, because he didn't say like, oh, we go to heaven or whatever, blah blah, or say, oh, well, or if you yeah, he's not wrong. Yeah, the
He's
people
not
that we
wrong.
love will miss us.
It's a way like I think it's a better way
Yeah.
than just saying I don't know. But it's just like and he's saying I don't know, but what I know is true is that the people that we care about or the people that care
Mm-hmm.
about us will miss us. That is very true. And well, especially if you are like a good guy like Keanu is, of course there's going to be a lot of people that are going to,
Mm-hmm.
miss him when he goes.
But
Yeah, it's now. I mean, is he on the caliber of an actor like an Anthony Hopkins or something like that? No, of course not. But he, there's certain roles that I find very interesting that he's done. This being one of them. And yeah, like I would have liked to have seen like maybe more
Mhm.
roles in this vein for him, just because I think he could do it. The obviously
Yeah.
he's got the action like locked down, and maybe that's what, because at the end of the day he does want to entertain people. He's not, and similar to like what Tom Cruise is doing. Tom Cruise also, well, he's a good actor, but he has chosen to go and do movies that entertain people, and a lot of that is just, you know what, I don't need to have this vehicle for, oh, this, grizzled character study on something. It's like, no, I like for Tom Cruise, like we want to see Ethan Hunt kick the shit out of bad
Yeah,
guys,
we want to see Ethan
which is
Ethan
great.
Hunt running down a
Or
hallway, at top speed.
yeah, or John Wick getting his revenge, or getting his revenge, and the essentially the John Wick franchise is, he gets his revenge, but it's the consequences of him getting his revenge, is that that's what plays out in the John Wick films. It's the consequences for vengeance. That's kind of cool,
Yeah.
and but we love to see it
Yeah,
because
I
he.
mean, if you think about it,
Oh man, it's
the John Wick franchise, it made us root for a bad guy. Because I mean, Keanu Reeves
yeah,
was a trained assassin. He killed people for money, but
yeah. He's not. He's a anti-hero. Like, he's not a good
right.
guy, but we love him.
Gotcha. Anyway, back to this movie though, really quickly.
So
Like, what do you think of his like kind of like PTSD like dreams? What did you think of like the imagery of him?
yeah, that's honestly, I they didn't really play on that so much, but I am, well, so it looks like he was in the Pacific. So he was over
Right.
fighting the Japanese, and yeah, I kind of like that they didn't make it too much. It's not
Well, I was wondering more about what do you think that the visions like what were the meaning? Because like you see like an orphanage, but and it's like he's in the Pacific, but then it says Illinois State like orphanage, so probably his origin, like he grew up in an orphanage in Illinois, um, and then
I maybe what he was putting together and what his mind was doing. Yeah, you're right. He probably maybe was an
well, I mean,
orphan.
yeah,
Maybe
he admits
his
as much.
father died.
When Victoria's
Yeah,
father's
like
asking him questions, like I was like, oh, I'm an orphan. I have no family.
yeah. Yeah, and who knows like what happened, like did they abandon him? Did his dad die in World War I and he never met him, and like his mom died or whatever. Uh, we don't know. The But I think what he is thinking of is he watched all these people around him die, like his fellow soldiers who were dads, and he's thinking that all those kids are going to be orphans now. Maybe that's what he's
That's
connecting in
interesting.
his mind.
Hmm. That's a pretty good theory.
Yeah, because I think Paul is a caring guy, and even though those are not his kids, that's not his family, he cares about them because now, like, their dad is gone. They don't have a parent now because of this war that we're in, because it's a horrible tragedy, and I think that's what, see, obviously seeing the images of people blowing up in front of you is traumatizing, but I think it's both emotional and it's like emotional trauma too, like thinking about what's happening to those families that are obliterated.
Right.
So that would be my thought on that. Because yeah, that isn't. I kind of forgot about his. We did see some of those flashes in the dreams.
Okay. Yeah, because I was having a hard time, kind of trying to piece it together or trying to formulate something, and I think that could have been real. That could have been really interesting, but I just don't think it was developed enough.
No, it that if I had a knock on the film, it's that, and I also don't know if we really needed that.
Right.
I mean, yes, obviously, a man returning home from war, especially even with World War II, they had that. But this isn't the type of
Mhm.
vehicle for that, I think, in this romance film. It's not Saving Private Ryan. Uh we're not coming back from war, and it's not like that type of film. So yeah, either expound on that more somehow, and like where maybe or just
Yeah.
cut it out altogether. I think,
Yeah,
to be honest,
or
I would
make
say
it
cut it
more
out altogether
clear
in this for
what
this.
this, what these, trauma visions are about, or what they're trying to point to. Um,
Yeah,
you know, because I
it's
mean, I understand.
unclear.
Yeah, you could
It,
just say like, yeah,
it's
because he's a soldier, so he has PTSD. Okay, but yeah, I guess yeah. To your point, yeah, we didn't necessarily need it in like this, period romance film. You know, if it was like specifically him, like pointing him to him getting with Victoria, or I think that would have been, that could have been a nice integration where, it's like, you know, like the closest thing I could probably think, the closest explanation for the imagery is, a burnt down orphanage is like him, like, his past, being destroyed, like or like symbolizing that he has no past. His past starts at the orphanage, and that's it. That's all he has, and that, and because he, has no past, he doesn't see a future, and that's why he sees himself, as in one of the visions, he sees like a child with the flamethrower on his, on his back. I think that's supposed to symbolize himself, and him, like, and like his kid self is like being destroyed in this war, and like him, like, and like obliterating like any sense of, or foundation, any destroying any sense of foundation that he has, or you might say
oh, interesting.
his
Okay.
roots.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, that you know what, that might
Right.
be
And it could
very
actually be
possible.
a foreshadowing. Actually, I just thought of this right now. It could actually be a foreshadowing of the destruction of the vineyard.
Oh, that's also interesting. Oh, see, now this makes me want to go and rewatch A Walk in the Clouds. Because in one sense, if I was,
Mhm.
because I've only seen it once, because I watched it last week, and I wasn't really thinking too much about those scenes, but now that we're talking about it, maybe they are more important
Right.
than I'm giving them credit for, and it just makes me I
I
gotta
mean,
rewatch
yeah,
it
because
now.
surprise, surprise, I'm the one that suggested this movie. I have had the opportunity of watching this movie multiple times. Um, yeah, and I always just kind of like, and when I initially watched it, I was a young man, and then when I kept like, happening upon it, like just on like TV, basic cable, in the, on a weekend at like, at 3 o'clock, on TBS or whatever, I'd watch it and and I just for some reason I couldn't wrap my head around around these like visions and flashes. But now that I watched it again recently, and then in talking with you about it, it just it just kind of like clicked for me all of a sudden. It's like this like his orphanage is his roots, right? His origin or whatever. And the whole thing about Victoria's family is like they have origin, they have roots. Um, but
Yeah,
Paul and then what is it? Uh, the worst thing that could happen for Victoria's family is if they lost everything. Uh, but Paul, he's already a man who has lost everything, and so through him is the family able to be reconstituted. Um,
right. They're able to
mhm,
maintain their roots because of a
yes.
man with no roots.
Oh damn, that's deep. Woo!
Ah, damn, this movie's so good. I seriously, it's funny because you don't suggest it's very rare when you suggest a film, but every film that you have suggested to me has been amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, like I mean, Pool Hall Junkies has now
Right.
it's in the rotation. I mean, we hung out with a group of my cinephile friends and introduced that to all of them, and
Yeah.
it's great. I love that. Uh, ah, uh, the what the fuck was I always forget the damn name of this film that we just reviewed it like about a month ago. The on with the prisoner that is
Oh,
possessed by a
nefarious.
demon.
Hmm.
Nefarious.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, and I
I
mean,
love
it
that
just
film. I'm gonna. I might. I thought I saw a good. I saw it on Blu-ray recently, so I might have to pick that up too because I want to learn more about that film and how that came together
yeah,
because
and I mean, and if
it's really good.
anything,
But yeah,
it's
and
a
then
masterclass in just in acting. Like, yeah, the guy, it's all
it's
dialogue driven,
all dialogue driven.
and just and just a little bit, and everything in the performance of the dialogue. Was it the guy who plays the prisoner, who plays the possessed man? All the little mouth twitches and things that he does, like while he's like the demon, is just so amazing. It's like you don't think about it, but it's like you actually are able to differentiate, like the nefarious, the demon. It's like he does something with like his mouth where he's like, when he's talking, and it's almost like
Yeah,
something
it's
underneath
dude, it's
the person's skin, like just like kind of poking through, trying to get out. And it's like, and that little subtle thing just goes to like the whole demon stuff, where it's like this, the demon is like using the
yeah,
man as like a meat suit, and so
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, dude, Nefarious is great. Um, but yeah, no, I really like this film. It's deep. It makes you feel good. Uh,
Yeah, that's all.
yeah, and now I'm gonna go back and I wanna look at those scenes of his dreams that he's having and yeah. But
Mhm.
I think we're onto something
Yeah,
with
and I
those.
mean, it's funny because I really enjoy this movie too, and but until you said what you said, like I couldn't like I for some reason I wasn't able to articulate it, but yeah, it's just a feel good movie. Like you root for Paul, you root for Victoria, you so desperately want them to get together, and then but when it doesn't happen initially, you feel utterly devastated that they don't get together, and that Paul kind of like and kind of yeah, and it hurts because
Yeah,
Paul like
it
sits
hurts.
back, for sloppy seconds, that is his wife. But then everything kind of resolves because she's not in love with him either. And he has fallen out of love with the idea of his wife. and is now able to fully express like genuine love for Victoria, and it's just like, dang, yes, perfect, and and just
Yeah.
like, and it's one of those like, and it's one of those. It's probably like the quickest breakup in cinema history, where like the girl's like, yeah, yeah, just I got it annulled, we're good, we're no longer man and wife, you're free, and it's just like everything he could ever have asked for.
It's like,
Thanks.
thanks, awesome.
I gotta go snatch me up a wine heiress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like this movie, man.
mm.
This is a great
I'm glad
suggestion.
you enjoyed it.
Yeah, this might be my favorite so far uh performance of his, just in like his acting. The For Keanu, I like I said, his action stuff is great, but this is him really acting, and he does a great job.
All right. Anything else to add?
No,
All
no,
right.
let's give a rating. Let's see. I So since I'm coming to it first, I think I'm gonna. You know what? I think I'm gonna give it a 5, man. I really did enjoy it. It's. I actually was gonna be a little bit lower just because I wasn't sure about those PTSD dream sequences. But now that we kind of talked it out and thought about it, no, I think that they are important and that there's a reason why they're in. I think all the acting is solid. I The grandfather to me
Yeah,
steals the
Anthony
show.
Quinn,
He's
man.
so
Anthony Quinn
great.
never phones in nothing.
And yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5. I I needed a feel good film. Oh, you know why? Because I watched this coming off of watching Dead Presidents, which is the biggest bummer ending like that. So, and actually they
Yeah.
both came out the same year too, which is interesting. So I got to watch this after that, and that I was like,
For
I
sure, for
needed
sure.
this.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're simpatico on this one again. Yeah, I was gonna like probably give this a 4 or 4.5, but since because the biggest thing for me, or the hang up for me, was the PTSD like dream sequences, and but since we were able to talk it out, and I think we found a pretty viable theory for those visions. And so I'm gonna I'm right behind you. Five for me as well. I mean, I also, even before I loved this movie, I really enjoyed it, and again, you helped me to articulate why I enjoy this movie so much. And it's because it's a feel good movie. Like, it's a love story. It's, you see a man who is with a woman who he has no right to be with. Right? He doesn't deserve her. She definitely doesn't deserve him. Um, it's it might be fantasy. It might be a man's fantasy that he finds like his ideal woman. Um, but it's something. It's aspirational. All right, it's not male delusion. It's
Yeah.
aspirational. Every man, I mean, except for the whole like unwed unwed teenage mom thing. But you know, otherwise,
You're right.
it's every man's fantasy to find a woman like Victoria, Aragon. And not
Yeah.
merely
Yeah,
because she's
exactly.
she's rich or whatever, but she's a genuine
Yeah, she's a
person,
good
and
person too.
she comes from a really good family, and and like she
The
is
family
just as much as
it's
like wanting to like honor like the agreement and like cut him loose as quickly as possible to limit collateral damage and stuff like that. which again might be
The other thing,
self-serving to a point, but you get a sense that that this is a good girl that just made a mistake.
well, and here I'm gonna bring something I just thought of, that because she's so tied in with her family, it's a big deal. And the one time that she stepped away from her family and her roots, what happened? She, you know, you made a mistake, and she got in with the person who didn't care about her and impregnated her and abandoned her. So it's and as she's going back to her roots, who does she meet? Someone that like actually loves her.
Yeah, and I think that and I think this. I know people might watch this movie and like blame think badly of the father, but he was actually doing his job. He sussed out the entire situation from the beginning, you know, and he was
Yeah,
right to be protective of her, oh when he was saying like, oh you shouldn't have gone to school, university in the city and blah 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 blah. He was right.
yeah. And we also have to remember, this is the
Mm-hmm.
40s. It's set in the 40s. Of course he's going to be he's protective of his daughter, and knowing the dangers, and like I said, yeah, he was right.
Yeah. Hashtag make fathers great again.
So, yeah,
All right. Yeah.
but yeah,
There you
five
have it.
stars, man.
There's
Great
our
movie.
review for Walk in the Clouds. Both Robert and I give this a 5. Definitely check out this movie. You won't be disappointed. If you are disappointed, then
No, sir.
you have no heart.
Yeah.
uh, all right. With that out of the way, let's get into topics for discussion. Rob, where would you like to start?
Oh, let's start in
All
some
right, international
international
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah. For those of you unaware, there's a bit of unrest in the UK. What was it? I forget what the impetus of the riots were. Something to do with migration. But
Well, yeah, that's the idea. You have native, uh, you know,
Native Britons, yeah, Native
English people
Britons.
who are they are tired of the migrant crisis, that especially, and they've had enough, and they're tired of what they see as
Yeah, well, differential enforcement.
an invasion. And yeah, differential enforcement, because a lot of people are being stabbed by these migrants. They're being, or having their wives, girlfriends, sisters being raped by some of these guys, and the people have had enough. And when a death that shouldn't have occurred happens, and then that person doesn't get thrown in jail, what happens is the person who speaks out about it and says something like, this should not have happened, they're critical of the migrants and the government, those are the people that are getting thrown in jail. And it's like, yeah, oh dude, like it's popping off. And the UK government is, they're going after people who are posting stuff on social media that is critical of the government. And the UK government also is wanting to prosecute people, and now they don't have the authority to do this yet, but they want to prosecute other people from other countries that
Yeah,
are
criticizing them. Yeah.
like the US, that are critical, that are saying the same things about their country. It's wild. I think a lot of people have had about enough of the government bullshit that's happening, not just in this country but around the world. where people are starting to see, we've allowed these people to take way too much
Right.
power,
Or even just like the
and
people. I think people are starting to finally see through the lie of multiculturalism. Like
yeah,
this
it's
idea is
not
like, oh yeah, you bring the best stuff from your culture, and we bring the best from our culture, and we make this new better culture. It's like no, because what if the best from another culture is like rape? Yeah, how do you reconcile that?
uh, so yeah, just like
Yeah,
the
just
rape.
like the rape.
We're very good at
It's like
it.
I like rape and murdering and rape. Huh. It's like
Said
I
rape
really like
twice.
rape.
Exactly. Yeah, God.
Oh, that was a quote,
It's
people, from Blazing
to be
Saddles.
honest,
Don't take that out of context.
I know. Uh,
Yeah, I know.
someone
Just
else put
see, I know.
that. I'm
Just
pretty sure.
CYA, cover my ass. But yeah, it's just the lie of
Yeah,
multiculturalism. It's like, oh, it's not just about tacos and sushi. It's or falafel. It's completely incompatible cultural values. In the West, for better or worse, we given rights to everybody. Men, women, but some of these places that these migrants are coming from, that are still like very steeped in uh, what is it? Not not patriarchy, but more like I would say it was more male chauvinism. Um, they don't recognize the rights of women. And so like how are you supposed to build commonality from that? It's like trying to create cold
exactly.
fire.
It's
Impossible.
impossible. And and unfortunately, the belief system of some of these people that are being brought over, because they uh, their whole agenda is, if you don't believe in what we believe in, we're
Right.
gonna kill you. That's kind of it's they will it's their own version of evangelism, but by the sword. That's why it's a religion that has spread. It spread very quickly when it came about. It's because it was done by the sword. It
It's like
was
convert
it's
or die.
either you. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just it to me, the wild thing is that their government wants to, if they had the power, they would prosecute people that are from other countries that are critical of
Right.
their
Yeah. I
government
mean, what
and
was
their
it? Like
decisions.
one of their police chiefs or whatever was saying, like, oh yeah, even if you are from another country, we're gonna find a way to get you. It's like, what
Yeah,
the
fuck
fuck?
you, man.
You're on tape, right? You're live, sir. You're live.
Oh, please come over to the U.S. and try to get me. You see what happens.
I mean, with like the current administration, they just might roll out the red carpet for them, but yeah, but it's like, yeah, like there's way too
Yeah,
many guns here, son. All right, there's way too many guns.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's somewhat encouraging that people are starting to wake up and fight back, and realizing that if we don't
Mm-hmm.
fight now, we don't have a country anymore. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, obviously there's a lot of other issues that they that with their laws over there. But yeah, I think people are just, I mean, it's civil unrest. There's a lot of civil unrest in
Mm-hmm.
going around.
Yeah, it's so funny. What was it? I don't know if it was a study, but someone pointed out. that people are so. I mean, maybe because it's like the whole like spoon-fed nature of movies or others like such media, but like when you're shown like in a movie like the evil empire, you root against them. But in real life, when people show you the evil
Right.
empire, and you're like, oh no, that's not so bad, or is that actually you're the evil empire, you're the bad one, you know?
Yeah. It's because people don't want to. They want to close their eyes and not
Right?
see
And
the
yeah, it's just
truth.
so funny.
That's
It's
what
like when it's
happens.
obviously dis- displayed on on the big screen on the silver screen. It's like yeah, those are the bad guys. Get them. But then when you show them the exact same thing in real life, it's like, oh, you're just over, you're just exaggerating. You're overstating it. It's like no, there's like what is it like? How do you know how many people would have to be in on this to make this be true? Um, yeah, it's
For real.
that's why it freaks me out because like in Captain America Winter Soldier, the whole spoiler alerts, but if you haven't seen it, tough luck. But the whole what is it subplot of the movie is that Hydra, the enemy, in World War II, uh, they secretly infiltrated, you know, not just the Shield, but the entire the U.S. government as well, and you know, uh, and it's finally revealed that it's happened, and you think that that oh yeah, people will definitely see it when if it were to happen in real life, but it did, because the communists they infiltrated our institutions. They did the long march through the institutions, to slowly but surely make their way into positions of power to enact their agenda. And now like we're it's what is it? It's bared out, for all to see, and people don't see it. You know.
Yeah. And that's why it all like Captain America says, it's all got to go,
Mm-hmm.
burn it to the
Yeah,
ground, and start
that's a really
over.
powerful scene where they're in the secret cave with Nick Fury, and oh, I have a plan, and maybe we can salvage this. And Captain America is just like, no, 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 it's all compromise. It's not worth for shit. It all has to go. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's funny like, when he's like, he looks over at Falcon's like, don't look at me. I do exactly
yeah,
what he does, just slower.
yeah. But yeah, it's just crazy that people they don't see it. And then again, it's like that interview from G. Edward Griffin, of that Russian KGB guy, Yuri Bezmenov, where he talked about like
Yeah.
what is it, cultural subversion, and like it gets to the point where you could show them the evidence of this happening, and all the steps that they took to do it, and people will still deny it.
Yep. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
because it's scary to look at that. I think that's
Mhm.
half the reason. It's fear.
Yeah, because you know why? Because if they know that to be true, then they're responsible for the result. Like if they know that this is
Absolutely.
happening and they don't do anything, it's on them. But if they pretend that it's not happening, then they can still live their lives as though nothing is wrong.
Yeah,
And I mean, I think
it's
that's
pretty
partly
true,
that's
actually.
partly why we do this show. Because not that we're trying to wake people up, but we're trying to introduce this stuff to people to maybe make them consider. Because again, like I don't believe, or at least I don't believe in like the whole like, oh, we gotta wake people up. Like no, because some people don't want to be woken up, and some people, it's just like in the Matrix. They're not going around just unplugging everybody from the Matrix willy nilly. They always give the person the choice.
They have to make the choice. They have to want
Exactly.
to wake up. because otherwise, if they don't want to wake up, they're not going to help. I mean, that's where uh the
Yeah,
fuck, what's his
Cypher.
name in the movie? Like, uh,
Hmm.
yeah, Cypher. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Cypher is one of those people like where he realized that he was woken up, but he in reality
Hmm.
didn't want to be woken up. He wanted to still live in the Matrix,
Yeah, he wanted the comfort.
and that's what
He
he ends.
wanted to be taken care of. He didn't want the He didn't want the
And
responsibility of the truth. And people don't. And people.
yeah,
Yeah,
and those
people
people are
forget this,
dangerous.
but with truth, there is responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and one of the responsibility is to spread truth. Not in just like a haphazard kind of way, and not like the like, oh, everyone has to be woken up. Everyone has to be woken up. Not really. Because there are some people who are just incapable of
No.
handling or dealing with the truth. And there's people that quite frankly, there's some people who actually need to be in the matrix, and to take them out of the
Yeah.
matrix would be cruel. Will be cruelty.
Yeah. It's very well put, actually.
Yeah, just think about like the what you when I say SJW, what you think about in your mind, and just them trying to live a normal life, like paying taxes and working a 9 to 5 job, and of keeping up with car payments or insurance, the mundanities of everyday life. Like, can you picture them doing that? No,
No.
exactly. Like, they need to be taken care of. They need the matrix. They need the download to like constantly tell them what to think, what to feel, how to act. They need the system. There are people like us, like like you, like me and Rob here, and maybe some other people out there. Like we don't need the system. Like do we like we don't need the system in the way that these other people need the system. We'll utilize the system, but we're not fully dependent on it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting seeing what's taking place in England. I think we're starting to see it here in this country too. Like people who I would have never suspected that would be like, yeah, this isn't working. It's, and they're finally like, yes, this is what we've been telling you for
Mm-hmm.
many years. Like, and for me, like it was not that I was checked out on stuff or that I've always been kind of a free thinker, but I think once this shit started to infect things in my world, the things that I liked, uh, sports, the
NASCAR.
gaming. That's when I was like, "Fuck this." Yeah, yeah. Well, now, God, NASCAR is like I can't watch it anymore right now. I can't do it. But I can't. I just once they started to infect my arena, it's like, oh no, 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 no. This is not going to happen. And yeah, I'm going to speak out against it, and I'm going to vote against it, even though it's I don't want any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, some people it took a lot longer for them to get to that point, but here we are. So
Yeah, yeah. But everyone, and I think there's a little bit of like 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 the doomer pill. It's like, oh, we're doomed, it's over. You know, I I don't think so. We're
I don't
not
think
there
so.
yet.
We're
And
not there yet.
anytime someone decides just be like to just not delusionally deny it, but just decide no, and decide for themselves that they're not going to let it happen for themselves, then I think that we'll be on the balance of things. We'll be for the better.
Yeah.
Because all it is individual choices. Like as soon as an individual exerts their will or their sense of responsibility for something, then I think more that's when someone truly is woken up. Um, you know when
Yeah.
they decide like I'm not gonna let this happen for me. I'm not gonna. They decide that they're not gonna let it happen. That's like the first step. Yeah, when they decide.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, the kind of waking up and stuff like that, uh the DNC, uh not one not one fucking policy
Yeah,
has
utter.
been
Yeah, not
stated.
one thing. I mean, unless you're biting from Donald Trump with the whole like no taxes on tip stuff.
Everything that was said, is that was even like close to maybe being a policy thing, and like, or talking about how, now it wasn't talking about how we're gonna do it, but talking about how, oh well, we're gonna lower the prices on this, and we're gonna make things affordable. It's like, well, you have the power to do that now. Why, you are the administration. You are fighting against yourself at this point. Because let's be honest, Kamala Harris is essentially the president at the moment, and she has the power to do some of these things, yet is doing none of it. So, and God, you notice how she's always a word salad mess, but when you do catch her on camera talking about the socialist policies that she wants to put into place, not it's very direct. She knows exactly what she wants to say. Like when she was talking about, I forget like who she was talking to, but talking about taking patents, stealing patents away from companies and taking control of business. Not a word salad. She was very direct. She knew exactly what she wanted to say. But then she'll, go up and, at like one of these events, and so like Venn diagrams are so amazing. Don't you just love? I love a good like those three circles. So, like she does that shit, and it's because she knows that she is unlikable. She knows that her policies are unpopular, and so she's going to do everything that in her power to stay as far away from the spotlight. She's never going to say a policy like outright, and that's what she's trying to pull the Biden technique from 4 years ago. That's what's happening. She has not had a real interview since she's been quote unquote nominated.
Right.
She has not had
Mm-hmm.
one real
Yeah,
question posed to her. She has not stated
and
one
it's funny
policy
because
officially.
I mean everyone knows that the media is in on it for the Dems, but Kamala is strangely avoidant of the mainstream media. Even though like she knows that they'll kind of they'll treat her with kid gloves, and maybe they'll lob one up for her, but it'll be a overhand or underhand, right, toss up for her, for her to just whack it out of the park. But but
Where her opponents are going into the
uh,
lion's den every fucking day, and and just eviscerating like the questions that they are being asked. Here's the thing, though. Kamala Harris does not want, because if she actually goes into an actual debate with Trump, what's going to happen to her is what happened when Tulsi Gabbard
Bodied
just
her? Yeah.
blasted her
Mhm.
4 years ago. Oh my gosh! Like, and the other thing that's funny too, because now RFK and his running mate essentially they dropped out
Right.
and they endorsed Trump. And I forget. I don't think it was on CNN, but it was some interview with RFK's vice
Yeah, the running mate.
presidential running mate, who was asked like, "Well, why all of a sudden are you siding with Trump?" And he's like, "To be honest, that was I've been they both have been Democrats their whole life. That's I have all the policies that we've been talking about for years. We've brought this to the Democrat Party and have tried to get these things done, and no one listened, and they dismissed us and cast us out. The only person that is talking about the things that we are wanting to do, which is Trump. It's about taking Americans and fixing the economy and doing this or that and making the country a good country. So that's why that happened, and I think that's big because there's actually a lot of people who like RFK. I don't, some of his policies. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. But I don't think that he's an evil guy. I think there's maybe misguided on some
Yeah, he
things.
sucks on guns. He
But he
sucks
was
on
he was being interviewed about.
what is it?
Yeah,
He sucks on. Yeah, sucks on guns. I think he sucks on free speech, I believe. Oh
I
yeah,
know
abortion. He
abortion was like
sucks on
another one that
abortion.
he's like had like.
Um,
Yeah. No, to be honest though, I think he is more of a free speech advocate.
right. Yeah, I might be
It's
misremembering.
funny,
Yeah.
like,
But he sucks on guns. He sucks on
yeah,
abortion, which is already two. He sucks on two things too many for my taste.
yeah. So, like I said, he would not have been a person that I would have voted for, but there's things that I do kind of like about the guy, and it was fun. He was asked too about like if Trump asked him if he would be the head of the CIA, and it's like, well, first of all, they would never
Yeah,
allow
yeah.
the powers that be would never allow that
Mhm.
that confirmation because he's like, I'd
Right.
expose all the
Yeah.
fucking secrets, because
Especially about his dad and his uncle.
oh, dude, and uh, because he also was asked like because he asked Trump like, well, why didn't you release all the documents? And the only reason that he did is because Mike Pompeo said, like, he begged him
Mhm.
not to do it just because, I mean, all the people that are involved are dead. So the only one that would really be implicated has to
Yeah,
be
the
the United States
institution.
government, and that they
Mhm.
probably were involved,
Yeah.
which is, the CIA, which is, yeah, I mean, at this point, that's the only thing that I can think of is that it implicates the government. And that's why they still will not release those fucking documents.
Right. Yeah. Because yeah, when initially Trump didn't release them, I suspected that somebody could still be implicated. But yeah, after all this time, everyone's dead, right? And the only thing that could be hurt is the institution of the CIA and by proxy the United States government because they were in on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the end of The Irishman, like where everyone's gone, like but yeah, he refuses to give
Yeah.
up
To give up
any
anybody.
of tell the story. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what's happening here. But yeah, I just God, the cavalcade of fucking losers at the DNC. It's just, and to be honest, like we talk a lot about how, oh, are they just stupid? Do they just not know? It's like, or it can't be all malice. It can't be that these people are evil. It's like, no, I think these people actually are evil. I don't like them all, and they keep calling Trump like Orange Hitler and literally Hitler, and he's fascist and he's going to destroy democracy. So I think I can get away with calling them evil because I think they are. I think Nancy Pelosi is evil. I think Kamala Harris is evil. I think Tim Walz is evil. Gretchen Whitmer, the Wicked Witch of Detroit uh,
Yeah.
or Michigan,
No, Wicked Witch of the Midwest.
I think she's evil. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh, see, there you go. Nice. See, this is why I have you around, Andy.
Yeah.
We had to workshop that one a little bit, and you figured it out.
The Wicked
The
Witch of the Midwest.
Yeah, I think these people are evil, and because they want to strip you of, they want to destroy the Constitution. They want to uh, cozy up to China and the communists, and they want to destroy this country because they hate this country.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Kamal's running mate, Tim Walz. He said that socialism it just means being neighborly.
So we thought that Bernie Sanders honeymooning in the Soviet Union was bad. Tim Walz has been to China, I think, some 30 times. He honeymooned in China. His his wedding took place on the 5th anniversary of Tiananmen Square because he wanted a date that he could remember.
Oof. Just oof all around.
That means his wife is also a piece of shit too.
Agreed.
Because she opened up her quote literally was, we love the smell of the city burning. I opened up my window and it was just love, and she's like fucking Nero, dude. That's
those of you who don't know the story. Nero allegedly, while the city of Rome was burning, was playing his fiddle. I mean, probably not a fiddle for the given the time, but he was said to have been like just whimsically like playing his lyre as the city was burning.
Yeah. It's
we're on
that level of
we're already past
evil.
the Caligula stage because the story goes as Caligula put in a horse as a senator in the forum. We have freaking what's that thing? Rachel Levine. And what's that bald klepto freak? He was part of the energy department of energy.
Yeah, dude, it's like
those are our horses. Those are our horses in the Senate.
God, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. I watched or I didn't watch. I listened to a fair amount of the coverage of the DNC. My God, it's so. These people are terrible. And and the entire thing is it's about feelings and vibes and it's the patriotism. You can feel it. It's like and your policies to make the country better are
right.
What is it?
Yeah, backtracking. All of this, all of a sudden, they love America. All this talk of patriotism and we as Americans, this and that. It's like for love of country. It's like, wait, what? You guys don't love America? It's like, am I in the
It's like
wrong timeline here? Am I in the timeline?
I
Am
think
I in
we
the
are, Andy.
timeline where the Democrats are the patriotic ones and the Republicans are a bunch of assholes, dictatorial, authoritarian assholes? Am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong timeline?
Yeah,
I must be,
must be.
because like all of a sudden, like this faux manufactured patriotism and like, oh yes, for country, and we as Americans have to come together. It's like, no, like me, like coming together to your side, fuck no, never. All right, as long as you
Yeah,
as long
it's
as
like
one of your the planks in the Democratic platform is abortion on demand whenever, you know whenever, however, no, fuck no.
yeah. It's I don't vote for Democrats. I never have, and I never will.
Yeah, I did once. Yeah.
Look how that turned out. No, just kidding. Now, there's been times where I have because I don't like our candidate either. It's like I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna abstain for voting on that. I'll vote for other parts of on that are up for voting, but yeah, when it's it's you don't people don't realize that you don't have to vote on everything, especially if you don't feel
Yeah, you're
comfortable
not
doing it
educated on the
or
issue.
exactly.
Especially with the wording. Because they do trick you with the wording. I mean, in California, we had the whole
Yeah,
gas tax thing. And they worded it in such a way that if you voted against it, you're actually voting for it.
you were voting for it. Yeah, it's a word salad
Mm.
uh bullshit. But yeah, just wanted to talk about that, and it frustrates the hell out of me that, and I hope people see that, unlike what Trump was giving, who spoke extemporaneously on, who had facts in his head, and he has a plan, and he said what his plan is for what he wants to do, as far as to help get us back on track as a country. Great, there's a game plan that he has, and we know what that game plan is, and yet his opponents won't take an actual interview, uh, even with the friendly media, the warm blanket that is the media for them. Won't take any serious questions. Have not officially stated any policies of what they want to do or enact or change in their presidency. And in the case of Kamala Harris, it's stuff that if she really cared, could probably do right now. You could make that change now, yet you're not doing it. Why?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, she's
So
yeah. In all intents and purposes, Kamala Harris is the president right now. And if she won, and yeah,
yeah,
and or let's say, okay, fine, let's say Biden is still president. You think that she doesn't, she can't put in her 2 cents at the very least, and be like, hey Joe, I don't think this is a good
yeah.
idea anymore.
Also, I think another strong thing to take away is uh, it was the third anniversary of the Afghanistan debacle. And normally, when there's something going on at the Arlington National Cemetery, the president shows up, right? And at least looks like they're paying respect. And
Yeah,
Joe
pay their
and Kamala
respects.
not there. But who actually showed up?
Yeah. An
Donald Trump.
actual president. I mean, not to say that I'm gonna vote for him or nothing, but he was acting more presidential than the actual president. And you could be
Yeah,
cynical and say yeah, because he was trying to score brownie points or whatever with his base. It's like, who cares? Yeah, no. His base
no,
already
he would.
his base already love him for who he is. All right. That visit is gonna affect is the independent voter.
Yeah, and the thing is, he also has been known, like, with and doesn't obviously, like, it's not in the news or whatever, but it's come out from people who are, have actually spoken to him with, like, a lot of these, families that of military members that pass away in tragic circumstances, uh, that Trump has actually called them and talked to them about it, or and was, very kind to them,
Right.
and, gave them a lot of
The
time.
13 Marines, that were lost in the Afghanistan withdrawal. They paint very different pictures of the different presidents. With Trump, like they say they have, he was very
Yeah,
kind. He was asking questions about, the so and so. But when the bodies return, and Joe Biden was there to to greet the bodies. The families, they had a different story about how he kept trying to make it about himself. He was kept he kept looking at his watch like he had somewhere else better to be.
yeah.
All right, I mean, like, take them, like,
It's
put those in a vacuum, and take the label of Biden and take the label of Trump off, and just honestly tell me, like, which one was acting more like presidential.
Yeah,
You'd be hard pressed to find someone who said that the actions displayed by Joe Biden were more presidential than the actions of Donald Trump.
yeah. It's for me, it's I maybe you don't like the guy, fine, but he, the guy actually gives a shit about the country. Yeah, as opposed to, well, no, Biden's out, but I mean, Kamala's essentially a younger version of the same
Mm-hmm.
type of person. It's all about themselves, and, just whatever kind of
Mm-hmm.
floats their boat at the time,
Right.
who look upon the American people with disdain.
Yeah. Really sad.
But speaking of corruption, should we talk about our
All
last
right.
Keanu
Well, I mean,
Reeves film?
if you're done with this topic,
I got nothing else to say. So
so to sum it up, yeah, the Democrats, they have no platform. Literally, not a single plank in their
nope.
for their platform, unless you want to account, like, yeah, abortion on demand, and I'm not Trump.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sums it up.
All right, folks. That concludes topics for discussion. So let's move into our last and final movie review for the night. And that is Street Kings from 2008. Um, what is it? Again, starring Keanu Reeves, as as befitting the month. But also starring Forrest Whitaker, Jay Moore, Hugh Laurie, Terry Crews. I think I think this is pre Captain America. This is post Fantastic Four and pre MCU Captain America Chris Evans.
I think you are
Yeah, because this came out in
right.
2008, and in
I think
2008 Iron Man came out, but not the first Iron Man came out. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a few years before
yeah.
Captain America, because that was
Mm-hmm.
2011, and yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like 3 years beforehand.
All right, let me hit everyone with a synopsis, and we'll get going. Synopsis for Street Kings. Tom Ludlow, a veteran member of the LAPD, is mourning the loss of his wife and trying to navigate through a world that does not make much sense anymore. When evidence implicates him in the death of a fellow officer, Ludlow begins to question the loyalties of everyone around him. Again, this movie came out in 2008. directed by David Ayer. What is it? It had a.
Oh, he's David Ayer, who did the Fast and the Furious from
Wait, he did?
2001. He wrote the
Oh, he wrote the
he wrote the
screenplay.
screenplay for it.
Yeah, he didn't direct. I know it was that.
He also was one of the screenplay. One of the for Training Day.
Yeah,
God, that makes so
and
much
he also
sense.
did Last Watch. End
Oh,
of
I
Watch.
haven't
There you
seen
go.
or
Yeah,
End of
it's
Watch.
a good movie.
I haven't seen that.
It's a good movie. We should watch that. We should watch that. It's a good movie.
He also has directed I think one of the worst films ever made, Suicide
Oh
Squad from
yeah.
2016. God, that movie's
Although
so bad.
I do have a little bit of compassion for him because I know like that there's too many chefs in the kitchen.
It's not
Yeah.
his fault completely. There was a lot of problems with that fucking
Yeah, there's
movie.
there was it was one of those things where it's like too many chefs in the kitchen. You had studio interference. You had um,
Outside of Jared Leto, I don't think it was bad cast either. It was just yeah, but we're not. Yeah, that's
yeah.
another
But
discussion for
anyways,
another day because that
yeah.
movie's really fucking bad.
I
Had you
have
seen this before?
or I had. Yeah, I had.
You have? Okay. I Yeah, this is my first
Hmm.
watch of this. I was like, oh yeah, Keanu's in this, and what
Hmm.
as it was unfolding, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I knew Keanu Reeves was in it. Oh, Forrest Whitaker's in it. Hugh Laurie's in it. Chris Evans
Hmm.
was like another
Yeah,
surprise.
Jay Moore's in it.
Um, you had Jay Moore, yeah, he was in there.
Hmm.
Common, which I've started to notice that there's a lot of the like some of the actors that
Hmm.
Keanu works with sometimes in these
Yeah,
some of these earlier films ended up being in the John Wick
right.
franchise. Common was in number 2. You had Hiroyuki Sanada in number
But he wasn't
4.
in this.
So it's kind of funny that no, I don't know. But
Yeah,
Hiroyuki
yeah.
Sanada was in 47
Oh, okay,
Ronin,
yeah, okay.
which is a Keanu Reeves film. That's what I mean. It's kind of funny that it seems like a lot of the guys that
Hmm.
he's worked with in the past ended up being in,
Yeah,
John Wick
absolutely.
with him. So, but yeah, I think that this film starts off
Hmm.
really strong, and I think the one thing I can't quite figure out is what who ends up Forrest Whitaker's character, the commander, what he is trying to accomplish with Ludlow.
Well, it's not that I don't think he's trying to accomplish anything, but he's Lu- Ludlow is his personal attack dog. It's
Okay,
he's Forrest Whitaker's character's stud. You know, he's the one that to make him he, Ludlow makes Forrest Whitaker's character look good.
I see. Okay, because I know he's able to go into a situation, fuck shit up, but make it look good for the police and essentially getting the results that you would want. Um, and at the same time, you have this guy who is building up uh, essentially building up this like power net of where he has the money and stuff for
Uh
being
huh.
able to blackmail people to help him continue on the rise to whatever his goal is. And he was using Ludlow for that. well, because obviously then they go through this whole process of because Ludlow's old partner, who by Terry Crews, what was going on with him? Because it seemed a little confusing. Like, was he actually trying to come clean, or was he dirty? What was going on there?
I think he wasn't quite dirty yet, but he saw that Terry Crews was a character that he saw that he was on the way to become dirty, and he decided not to become dirty. That's what I think.
I see, and that's why he was working with
Mm-hmm.
internal affairs, trying to root out the corruption, and which is why he
Yeah.
got taken out, obviously.
Exactly, because it's exactly how the question
And
posed to Ludlow from what is it, Biggs, Hugh Laurie's character, the captain of
mhm.
internal affairs, is like, did he get taken out for being dirty, or did he get taken out for being, did he get taken out for becoming clean? And so I think it's the latter. But I
Yeah,
don't think he was ever. I don't think he was
but
ever
yeah,
dirty.
I agree with
But
that.
he saw that he was on the way to become dirty, and he decided to do a 180. Because he was
Yeah,
starting to able to like connect the dots
and
in Wander, Captain Wander, Forrest Whitaker characters, playbook.
the other thing I couldn't quite figure out because
Mm-hmm.
Chris Evans, who what the hell is this character's
This
name?
guy.
Uh, yeah, he initially seems to be like he's working for the commander, right? Like he's a detective that's working that case and has been essentially told
Mm-hmm.
just clean it up. It's just make it go away. But Ludlow won't
Mm-hmm.
let it go, and so he decides to help him.
Right. I think it's because of his naivete. So he thinks he's just being a good team player, not necessarily, under the influence of Wander, Forrest Whitaker's character, uh, and so that's why I think uh, Ludlow, Keanu Reeves' character, gravitates towards him because he's on the outside. He's just a detective. He isn't linked to the Vice unit that he works with. He's not linked to internal affairs. He's just a detective assigned at kind of like at random to investigate this.
I see. Okay, because I wasn't sure if like maybe he was kind of just playing along, or if, like because it seemed like after a certain time he was actually trying to
Mm-hmm.
solve this case with Ludlow,
Right, because yeah.
and obviously, and they find out that the guys that they're searching for that were the ones that supposedly shot up Terry Crews's character, they realize that they had been killed a
Mm-hmm.
long time, like a while ago, and their DNA was used at the crime scene. So the people that they were actually looking for are just
Yeah, they're
they no
ghosts.
longer exist. Yeah, and they find a guy by the name of Scribbles, played by Cedric the Entertainer, who it did a really great job in the film. I thought, even for like the small like little bit that he was in, that when he asked him about like, do you know like Fremont Coates, those were the guys that were
Mm-hmm.
the killers supposedly, and he's like, where are they at? Like you've had contact with them recently. Where are they at? And we get into that situation where Ludlow and Diskin, they are introduced to these guys, and it's a very tense situation. It's Common is one of the guys, and things are starting to the tension starting to ramp up. And when Diskin says, "Wait, I recognize these guys," that's when shit starts to pop off, and he gets shot in the
Then
fucking
he
neck.
bleeds out. Yeah.
Oh man,
I know.
I
Oh
was like,
no,
oh
Captain
shit,
America.
yeah, dude, yeah. So that was I was like, I knew something bad was gonna happen, but I wasn't expecting like quite like that. And it turns out that those guys were undercover
Yes.
detectives. At first, I thought it was kind of bullshit
Mhm.
here on the news, but it was set up for Ludlow and Diskin to be killed there and just to have it go away in that sense. But when Ludlow comes out on top, and essentially there's 3 dead police officers in that room, they're charged like, oh, that they're gonna charge him with murdering 3 police officers, and his unit that he's with, essentially, they come to arrest him, and they're gonna kill him just like they did with Fremont and Coates. And Ludlow's trying to put it together that it was Forrest Whitaker that had set everything up because he couldn't let it go.
Right.
But yeah, I would say that this is it's a poor man's Training Day. I think there's some good parts of this film. I do like the investigation part of this. I think Keanu does a pretty good job in this, and
Yeah.
it's a star-studded cast. It has like a lot of big names, but I don't know. This did not hit me like a
Right.
Walk in the Clouds
Yeah.
hit me. You know what I mean?
I mean, I do think he plays like
I
I
mean,
do think he plays
it
like
does.
the tortured, veteran police detective pretty well though. Yeah.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I know you refer to this as the poor man's Training Day, but I think this is a more optimistic Training Day.
Oh, well, why would you say that?
Um,
Is it
well,
ends
just
on a good note?
because you get that Keanu was never dirty. He did dirt. Don't get me wrong. He did dirt, but he wasn't dirty. He was of the of the philosophy of sometimes the good guys got to do bad things to make the bad guys pay. And so
Yeah,
yeah, and
you're
and
absolutely right.
I think Wander, Forrest Whitaker's character, saw that in him, and it's like, hey, I could use this guy because he will do the dirt, and I could use him to elevate my position, um, and I could use him as like an attack dog without him even knowing it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And is that why at the end, like when Biggs, after uh, Wander is shot by Ludlow, do you think that's why he says he kind of creates that scenario? It's like, no, actually, I don't think. I think what happened here was someone, that he was blackmailing got to him, or they
Yeah.
essentially made up a story, and it's because I think he sees that
Mm-hmm.
he's not a dirty cop, that he's a guy that wants to make the bad guys pay. And you're right, yeah, he does bad things, yes, but he's not a dirty cop. Like he's not trying to he doesn't want to hurt innocent people. He's gonna maybe not do things the right way to make sure that he gets the bad guys. Like at
Mm-hmm.
those human traffickers.
Yeah, in the
Like it,
beginning.
like when he rescues those two girls. Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right on that. Yeah, it is a little bit more of an optimistic Training Day, and I think Ludlow is a troubled character, but he's ultimately
Mhm.
doing good.
Yeah, because as opposed to
Um,
Lorenzo in Training Day, he would always justify what he was doing, but ultimately it was for himself.
Ludlow's
Yeah.
more Ethan Hawke
Hmm.
than Lorenzo.
Yeah, and Ludlow is what I would imagine Ethan Hawke's character would become. If he were someone who was like 15 years on the job and he's seen some shit, um, and his wife died.
Yeah,
That's who I see Ludlow as, like alternate version of Hoyt, Ethan Hawke's character.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Wait, I
It took me
I
a
forgot
second
that for a
to
second, but yeah,
take
oh,
the
dude,
recall, but yeah, so I think it's a little bit more optimistic, and yeah, it's
yeah,
because and I don't think like the narrative that they came up with, like Biggs and Ludlow at the end was all bullshit. I think Jack Wander, the Forrest Whitaker character, like he was running a blackmail scheme, and he was getting dirt on as many as on all the power players in the city and in the police force as possible, and like they even said it themselves that the next open commander position is usually given over to the captain of internal affairs, which would have been Biggs, but he got passed over for Wander, and it's like how does something like that happen unless you know um, you know you have something
you
you
have
have something
something,
on
you
the
have dirt
cheap,
on somebody.
and Biggs even alludes as much, because what is it? Those powerful people essentially sent Biggs after Wander, and he said like, oh, one day you're gonna be walking, at the station, and you're gonna see the chief, and you don't know why, but he's gonna give you the slightest of nods, and you'll know why.
Yeah,
And it's because they took out Wander, they took out this guy who was amassing this uh, small, this fiefdom for himself, which would eventually become a kingdom. I mean, he like,
yeah.
yeah, so he's a street king,
I'm a street king. Yeah,
and so,
but yeah,
mhm.
it's an interesting movie. Like I said, I was entertained, and like I said, I love a good corrupt cop uh
Mhm.
story, which this is. Definitely not the best of that genre, but I think it's one that people should check out.
Yeah, it's good. You'll be entertained. It's funny because in the hospital scene, because it's Hugh Laurie, I for a second thought that was like a cameo of House. Yeah.
House? No, I thought the same thing, dude. I was like, is
Yeah.
this
Right.
like in the House universe? Like, what the fuck? I mean, he's kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
playing an asshole
Exactly.
like in
And he does his.
House. So it's
Hugh Laurie. I mean, say what you might, but I think Hugh Laurie's American accent is pretty good. Yeah.
it's solid, dude. It's
Right. So it's like
flawless.
because he uses the same accent that he I mean, I don't know if he has another American accent, but because he uses the same accent for House that he did in this one, it's like you can't, and being it that his introduction is in the hospital, you can't help but go there.
I wonder because House
That's right.
was running at that
Mm-hmm.
time and it was very popular. I have to imagine that's like, you know what? Let's give it a little wink and a nod. Introducing this
Right.
dude at the hospital and kind of
Right.
dressing him
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
House.
Yeah. And yeah, this movie and the movie Street Kings, it was released by 20th Century Fox, and Fox was the network that House was playing on.
That's right. So I have to imagine that
Yeah.
was
That was a deliberate
deliberate.
choice.
But yeah, I was like, what the
I
fuck
know,
is this?
right?
Is House in this
Right. Are
movie?
you gonna tell him? Are you gonna tell him that it's Lupus?
It's like is House
Right?
the
Yeah. It's like,
character in
yeah.
this
Are you gonna
movie?
tell
This
him
is
that's not
weird.
Lupus? For those of you,
Yeah.
House fans, it's like the two things that they always run to first is Lupus.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say if I was gonna rate
Yeah. Let's give
the
our ratings then.
film, I'm probably gonna just give. Yeah, it's a 3. I think it's a solid film. Uh, it should be with all the stars in the film. I'm surprised it's not better known, but when you watch it, I think it kind of is in the middle tier of, like I said, the
Mhm.
corrupt cop movies, or corruption movies, stuff like that, which maybe why it gets lost a little bit. Like, another better version of this film is Copland, which
Mm.
is also star-studded and also kind of forgotten. It doesn't get talked about a lot. But that Copland is way better than this. But so yeah, I give it a 3. I think acting all around is fairly solid, star-studded. If you uh, I I enjoyed it, and I probably watch it again or introduce it to people who maybe haven't seen it, but I don't think that it's like the best. So yeah, like 3 out of 5 stars in that sense. Uh, I this is one that this movie was chosen out of kind of a coin flip because we couldn't decide between two Keanu Reeves films, and this is the one that I had chosen over this one initially. I had seen before, but I was kind of wanting to watch a Keanu Reeves film that I had not seen, and this was on the list. I was like, you know what, I let Andy flip a coin
Yeah.
and
And
choose,
yeah,
and
it's
this is
funny
what
because
came up. But
what is it? Rob hadn't watched this movie, and I hadn't watched the other movie, and so I
mm,
generously gave up uh, my desire to watch the other movie for this movie.
yeah, but the movie that we didn't choose, we'll definitely do at some point because I think
Mhm.
you'll like it. It's really good.
Yeah. As for my review or my rating for this movie, uh, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, I kind of agree with you. This is a 3. Um, yeah, it's just, it's there's nothing bad about it, but there's nothing really fantastic about it, which might elevate it to that next rung. Um, so yeah, it's a solid 3 for me.
Like I said, it's just a solid. It's a competent movie that has some intrigue and some action, and but it doesn't necessarily do anything special
Mhm.
with that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think yeah, like the whole idea of the cookie jar, I think, because they introduced this thing like through like dialogue, what is it after the whole Terry Crews you know murder thing, they transferred Ludlow to complaints, and like there's a montage of him receiving complaints from the public about police or whatever. And then one interaction is of a man saying that cops came in and robbed him and took his money, and he overheard one of the cops say something about a cookie jar. This is for the cookie jar. And and I think I wish they
Yeah.
had expanded a little bit more about it, or they expanded on that. I mean,
Yeah,
ultimately, the Wanderer's house was the cookie jar because that's where all the money and all the, evidence that he was squirreling. He was
all the
squirreling away
evidence and
was.
all the
Yeah.
all the blackmail material.
But I wish they would have. I wish they had expanded a little bit more on that. Uh,
I think that could have made this decent movie into like a really good movie had they like worked
right.
on that a little
Like
bit.
if it was just like within the Vice unit, but like he kept hearing this thing about the cookie jar, the cookie jar, the cookie jar. Even like if like Keanu Reeves would have like heard it like from like some top brass sort of cops, you know, then I think it would have helped the movie a lot. And
Yeah, yeah,
and then also could have made it a really good, made it something more to investigate other than just Washington and or Terry Cruz's character and what have you. Uh, yeah, I
yeah.
think it just needed that one focal point.
Absolutely, yeah.
But again, yeah, solid, competently performed and shot. But yeah, it's a mid tier, corrupt cop sort of movie. All right, yes, there you have it. That's our
All
review
right.
for Street Kings. Both Robert and I gave it a 3. It's perfectly enjoyable. So if you ever find yourself a week, on a weekend and with nothing to do and but wanting to watch a movie, consider Street Kings.
Yes, sir.
All right, with that conclusion of our review, that'll bring us to the end of our stream. I hope you guys had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time. I hope you
Always.
guys did as well. If you enjoyed this stream, don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. The Circular Jerks main podcast, old episodes of Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, with the movie reviews, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, formerly Twitter, now X, and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circular Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us tonight. Come back next week and we'll do it all over again. Have a good night.